They handed me a cardboard box for my desk and told me 23 years didn't matter anymore. 23 years of 6 in the morning drives to strangers' houses, 23 years of kneeling in crawl spaces so an 80-year-old widow wouldn't have to worry about her furnace in January. And it ended over $4. $4 worth of powder I told a customer to buy instead of the $450 service plan my company wanted to sell her. That is what got me fired. Not being late, not bad work. Telling the truth to the wrong person on the wrong day in front of the wrong co-worker. My name doesn't matter for this story. What matters is that for 2 decades, I was the person your neighbor called when something broke. And today, sitting in my own garage, instead of driving to someone else's house, I am going to tell you everything I was trained never to say out loud. I learned this trade from my father, who learned it from his father. Neither of them worked for a company with a logo on the truck. They worked for themselves, out of a toolbox, and they fixed what was broken using whatever solved the problem. That is how I was raised to think about the work. A problem exists, you find the cheapest, most reliable way to solve it. I joined a regional home services company 19 years ago because self-employment meant no benefits, no steady schedule, and a wife at home with 2 kids. Then ownership changed hands and something shifted. New technicians were no longer trained the way I had been trained. They were trained on recommended service tiers. Every call had a script. Every script had an upsell built into it. A customer with a slow drain was supposed to be walked toward a $200 drain service plan, not told about simple washing soda. I remember the afternoon my father handed me his toolbox. He set it on the workbench, tapped the lid twice and said, "Every one of these has a job." He used to say that a repairman who upsells a widow is no different than a thief who happens to leave a receipt. I was asked to sit in on training sessions as a senior mentor, and I found myself, against my own better judgment, teaching some of it. That is a weight I still carry. I didn't just witness the shift. For a while I helped normalize it for the technicians coming up behind me. Her name was Mrs. Eleanor Hastings, 81 years old, widowed 6 years, living alone in the same house she and her husband bought in the 1970s. She called about her front porch railing, a wrought iron railing her husband had installed himself, decades earlier, now covered in rust so deep it had started flaking onto the porch floor. Our estimate for the restoration and protective coating service came to $450. I stood on that porch and watched her count the estimate against a fixed monthly income, moving her lips slightly the way people do. When they're doing math they're afraid of, and I thought about my own mother, in a house not so different from this one. So I told her something I wasn't supposed to tell her. I told her that a few dollars of a compound called tannic acid, sold in most hardware and grocery stores, dissolved in warm water and brushed onto that rust, would convert it into a stable, sealed surface. Permanently in under an hour, no sanding, no grinding, a fraction of the coating service's price. She thanked me with tears in her eyes, and I genuinely believe that moment, watching relief replace fear, is one of the best of my career. It is also the moment that ended it. She asked me to wait while she went inside and came back with a photograph. It was her and her husband standing beside that same railing, decades younger, the iron still black and unmarked. He built that with his own hands the summer we moved in, she told me. I wasn't ready to let a company tear it out. I told her she wouldn't have to. I wrote the tannic acid instructions on the back of my own business card. I told her I'd swing by in a few weeks to check on it, off the clock, no charge. My co-worker on the job that day, a younger technician, mentioned the conversation during his next team meeting, not out of malice, I think, but because he had been taught this was a coaching opportunity. Within a week, I was called into an office I had been called into maybe 3 times in 19 years. Since I was let go, I have had a lot of time to think about exactly what I was trained to withhold, call after call for years. I want to lay it all out here plainly, the way I should have been allowed to all along. Rust doesn't need replacement. It needs tannic acid. The rust on Mrs. Hastings's railing wasn't unique. I quoted rust restoration services hundreds of times, averaging $300 to $500 per job. Tannic acid, roughly $3 per treatment, converts rust into a stable, sealed, paintable surface at the molecular level, permanently. It has been documented since the 1850s in British Navy hull maintenance logs and used by the US military during the Second World War. I was never permitted to mention it as a first option. Most drain clogs don't need a plumber. They need washing soda. A washing soda and hot water treatment breaks down grease buildup in residential drains. The same buildup our premium service was designed to treat. I was trained to describe clogs as more serious than they usually were, to justify the visit fee before I'd even opened my toolbox. Ant and roach contracts rarely reach the colony. Borax does. Our pest partner sold quarterly contracts running well over $150 a year. A simple borax and sugar bait, costing about $1, is carried back to the nest by worker insects and can eliminate an entire colony. I watched customers sign multi-year contracts for a problem a grocery store aisle could have solved. A dead power tool is usually just dirty. In most cases, the carbon brushes inside had simply accumulated dirt. A $2 cleaning with isopropyl alcohol restores them completely. I was trained to recommend replacement tools from a partnered retailer instead. A whole home inspection package rarely finds anything new. The most profitable item was the annual inspection package, priced around $200, sold as preventive peace of mind. Most turned up nothing a homeowner couldn't have identified in 20 minutes, with a flashlight and a checklist, checking caulking, testing outlets. I was trained to write detailed, technical-sounding notes regardless, because a thin report made the renewal conversation harder the next year. None of this is secret science. Every one of these facts is documented, verifiable, and has been known for decades or even centuries. What was hidden wasn't the information itself. It was the instruction repeated to every technician to never volunteer it first. The meeting lasted 11 minutes. I know because I looked at the clock on the wall when I walked in and again when I walked out. The regional manager, a man maybe 12 years younger than me, used the phrase revenue integrity twice. He said the company valued trust, and in the same breath told me that recommending a $3 alternative to a $450 service violated that trust. Theirs, not the customer's. You gave away work we could have billed for, he said. Not, you did something wrong for the customer. Not, the fix didn't work. Just that I had given away something the company believed it was owed. I asked him directly whether the tannic acid method worked. He admitted it did. I asked him whether Mrs. Hastings' railing was restored. He admitted it was. Then he told me that wasn't the point, and slid a cardboard box across the desk. 23 years fit into that box more easily than I expected. A framed photo of my kids, a coffee mug, a set of hand tools that had been my father's before they were mine. Walking out to the parking lot, I passed 3 technicians I had personally trained, men who had ridden alongside me as apprentices. None of them met my eyes, and I understood why. 2 of them had families depending on that paycheck the same way I once had. I don't blame any of them for staying silent that day. I blame a system that made silence the only safe option for a good employee. One of them, a technician named Marcus, who I'd trained, called me that night from his own driveway so his wife wouldn't overhear. I would have done the same thing you did, he told me. I just don't know if I'm brave enough to lose this job over it. I told him I understood completely, and that he shouldn't feel obligated to prove anything to me. I meant it. Not everyone is in a position to risk what I risked. That's exactly why I decided someone needed to say these things publicly, where losing a single job wouldn't mean losing the only way to say them at all. For the first few weeks after I was let go, I mostly sat in my garage. I told myself I would find another company, keep my head down, learn the new script. But every time I thought about Mrs. Hastings's face on that porch, I found I couldn't feel ashamed of what happened that day. A woman on a fixed income had a real problem. I gave her a real, permanent, honest solution. I have never once in the month since been able to convince myself that was the wrong choice. So I made a decision. If I was never going to be allowed to say these things from inside a company truck again, I would say them to as many people as would listen, from my own garage on my own time, answering to no one's revenue targets but my own conscience. That is what this channel is. Not a business pitch. Not an attempt to sell you anything. Just 23 years of a trade and everything I was told to keep to myself, laid out plainly for anyone whose porch railing, whose drain, whose ant problem, whose old drill is sitting there right now, waiting for someone to tell them the truth. I think about Mrs. Hastings sometimes, and I hope her railing is still holding up the way tannic acid should hold it up. For years, maybe for the rest of the time she lives in that house. I hope she never had reason to think twice about the choice she made that day, or about the man who told her the truth instead of the company line. I was not fired for doing bad work. I was fired for doing the work exactly the way my father taught me to do it, honestly, cheaply, and in the customer's interest instead of the company's. If that is a fireable offense somewhere, I no longer want to work there. I would rather stand in my garage and tell strangers on the internet the same 4 truths that got me let go, and let them decide for themselves what their porch railing, their drain, their pest problem, and their old tools are really worth fixing. 23 years taught me that the cheapest honest answer is usually the right one, and that some people would rather lose a good technician than let that answer reach a customer. I am no longer working for them. I am working for you. If this story meant something to you, subscribe and share it. Someone else's porch railing, someone else's drain, someone else's old drill is waiting on the other side of this video. The vault is open. Share it before they notice.